Yes? Wonderful. Bonjour. I'm Tanuja Randery. I have the pleasure of leading AWS, Amazon Web Services across Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And it's wonderful to be with you here in this incredibly magnificent Grand Palais. But as I stand here, I am reminded that some of the biggest leaps that mankind has made started with a very small, brave step by someone. And I don't know if you're aware, but just a few steps from here, let's see if I can get this going here. Yeah, just a few steps from here, in 1783, Louis Sébastien Lenormand, and I hope I say that properly, actually took a virtual leap. It was the first recorded parachute jump. And that was not a descent, it was an ascent into the impossible. And that same spirit of innovation actually gave us medicine with Louis Pasteur and helped understand radioactivity at a very different level with Marie Curie, right? But all of these people faced a lot of skepticism, one that I'm sure you're facing in your organizations today. You know, it's too risky, it's too ambitious, it's a bubble, right? We're never going to be able to do this. And I call that, and Jim Collins calls that, the tyranny of war. And it's really important as leaders that we think about this, because what the tyranny of war does is it forces leaders to choose between two mutually exclusive options, rather than really thinking about the fact that both options can be true, A and B. And actually with AI, the genius of and is unfolded, right? You can have innovation and efficiency. You can have cost improvement and growth. And so what we need is to unleash this potential of AI is to adopt the genius of and. What's really wonderful to see is the accelerated pace of adoption that we're finding on AI. In the past year alone, almost 30% increase in the adoption of AI. 5 businesses every single minute are using AI. And the potential of this technology for Europe, and I know President Macron yesterday spoke a lot about this, is $600 billion, of economic value impact by 2030. And I actually think this number is smaller than what we will end up it being. French startups, by the way, at the core of all of this. 68% of startups are using this technology, and they're using it by embedding it into the core of their R&D, their processes, how they work, right? And guess what? 90% of businesses that are using this technology are not talking about efficiency. They're actually seeing revenue growth. 30% boost in revenue by using this technology. And the pace, well, the pace is not going to slow down. We are now in the era of agentic AI. We're moving from reactive to predictive. We're moving from assisted to autonomous to truly intelligent systems. And this is going to go by far faster than we've ever seen. Even over the past 2 years, the pace has been incredible. The agentic market is about 53 billion by 2030. That's the numbers that we see today. We see agents being adopted across the enterprise, across governments, in every single function. But if there were 3 use cases that I would leave you with, where you should literally deploy these and you will see needle-moving impact, it's these 3. The first is transforming how you write software. Software will never be written the way it was written. And this is no longer even about vibe coding. It really is about writing software where the agents are enabling our software engineers to not only be way more productive, but to actually be leveraging the agent mind in building the software. So it's not just an automation tool anymore. It's really a pioneer and a collaborator. At Amazon, we've been using our suite of tools, Q Developer, which is now part of the Quick Suite tool, and we have saved $260 million and 4,500 developer years just by deploying this technology. The second, and I think we all are consumers, reshaping customer experience is really a significant space for agents and generative AI. And why is that? It's no longer about chatbots. and agents writing emails for you and doing better in terms of the responses, or your call center agents being slightly more productive. It really is about helping call center agents learn and train on your organization and the way you operate, the tone of voice of your organization. It's sending them nudges. It's helping them be compliant when they respond to customers. So it truly is changing and reshaping customer experience. And then finally, knowledge work. Each one of us here today, how are we using this technology to be more productive? I use it, by the way, I use it to create websites and applications. I don't know if you know a phenomenal startup called Lovable. Try it, it's phenomenal, right? I use it to record my meetings, summarize my meetings. I save 30 minutes per meeting. And like you, I'm sure your meeting diaries are full from morning to night. You could save yourself 2 to 3 hours spending that time on strategic decision making. Let me show you a quick video about how we're using the agents in the customer care area. I'm not sure that's working very well. Now, it's not so much about technology, though, alone. It's actually about cultivating an AI mindset. It's about nurturing and developing the culture of innovation. We've seen that actually this is the issue that prevents people from transforming their organization. So when you read about the MIT study, or if you read McKinsey or any other study, and they say 90% or 75% of transformations fail, they don't fail because the technology doesn't exist. They fail because there is no mindset for change and culture of innovation. And this is what I want to spend a few minutes on. As leaders here, we need to think about leadership in the agentic era. Every technological revolution has had to require a shift in leadership. Okay, so during the Industrial Revolution, we all had to move rapidly to efficiency. During the digital revolution, we all had to move rapidly to operating at speed. And now in the agentic revolution, it is going to be about scaling with clarity, not control. And there are 4 aspects of leadership that I'd like to spend a little time on. We all know we've been in many transformations. I've been a chief of staff, a head of transformation, a head of strategy, a CEO. Like many of you in the audience, you're always trying to break those barriers down, right? From functional silos to operating as one team, right? There are many ways you can do that today, but it is so important in the agentic era that we move from operating in silos to mirroring what is probably nature's biggest amazing feat, which is the immune system. The immune system works, anticipates multiple cell responses, orchestrates multiple responses, right? To be able to do the one thing, protect your health. And that's how we need to think about agents as well, right? We need to think about bringing agents together with human beings. And by the way, it's not that the human being will be the manager. It could be that the agent is the manager. It could be agents need to talk to other agents to unblock, right? It needs to be a human at the end of the day making some human judgment potentially. So think about what you need to live with in this new agentic era as leaders. In Amazon, we talk a lot about a concept of single-threaded owners and single-threaded leaders. Single-threaded owners have everything reporting into them directly. A 2-pizza team, right, that comes together, made up of diverse profiles to be able to actually make change happen. A single-threaded leader does not have everything reporting to them, but they have the mandate and the strategic decision-making over it. So that's just one way we're doing it, but there are many ways. And let me share an example. We all know BMW. What they've done is they've actually created something called the BMW AI Assistant, and it's been available to all of their employees. You're talking 50,000 employees that have this assistant available to them, accessing something like 8,000 applications, being able to work and collaborate together with each other through this application in a secure fashion. The second thing that we need to think about is governance. And typically with governance, we're always thinking about the gates, right? We're always thinking about micromanaging every single decision, controlled, predictable, right? In the agentic era, we need to think about almost as you were teaching a child. You need to instill values. You need to put the mechanisms and the tenets in place. So those guardrails are part of how agents are going to respond. We don't want agents freezing. We want them to be able to go to the right places, escalate in the right way, just as we do in organizations, right? So think guardrails, don't think control. Think guardrails, clarity, and strategic decision-making to enable the agents and humans to work together. Schaeffler. I don't know how many of you know Schaeffler, really transforming autonomous mobility, but they have put in place an AI governance framework. And what that does is it has all of the DOA and the security responses required within Schaeffler and the governance that they need. And at the same time, they've created an AI inferencing gateway which allows their users to access multiple models through a very safe platform, in this case Amazon Bedrock, and that means the data doesn't leave their environment, right? So they're allowing people to innovate at the edge, but they're also making sure that the governance is in place. And again, think agents, humans, diverse profiles working together. The third that's really, really important is one about culture. This is something that we as Amazonians think a lot about. You will have likely heard about our 16 leadership principles. We run the business that way. We don't just put that on a PowerPoint. In fact, we don't use PowerPoint, but we really do run the business that way. This is about instilling learning and a building culture. This is the most important thing. A culture that allows failure. A culture that allows experimentation, right? When you think about the biggest scientific breakthroughs, they didn't happen. Alexander Fleming, the Petri dish, he could have just killed that whole experiment. Did not, right? They learn, they think, they sense, they respond, they adapt. As leaders, we need to have the top-down vision and commitment to be AI first, but at the same time allowing experimentation. I'll tell you one little trick we use within Amazon. We call it one-way doors and two-way doors. And it's pretty obvious, right, a one-way door? A one-way door is a door you can't come back through. And so it's a decision that requires a lot of real thought. A two-way door, you can come back through any time. And so what we like to do is release our teams to operate with two-way door decision-making at the edge. Just another way to think about how you as leaders can build this into your culture. And people need to be at the core of this. We need to be upskilling, training, educating, instilling AI mindset across the team. Clariant, who you might know, a specialty chemicals company, has created something called Clarita, which is an employee app, allowing employees to be able to save time, be more productive, do summarization of emails. We use something within Amazon, by the way, which is called Quick Suite. I can do deep research on it. I can have it check my email mailbox. It will actually surface to me the top things. I save time. I spend my time on doing the things that Amazon hired me for, which is 3 strategic decisions every single day. And then finally, we need to talk about risk. And again, risk needs to go from being factory floor type risk management. I think we need to forget those days where everything is completely controlled, right? It needs to go to trading floor risk management. This technology is moving at pace. Companies need to move at pace to be able to not be disrupted at the core. And you need to be looking at agentic at the speed of algorithms. In order for us to be able to do that, we cannot have trading floor systems that are actually managed by human beings. There need to be inbuilt guardrails, responses, predictive monitoring, things that can sense when disruption is occurring, that can respond quickly in milliseconds. And you need to bake and embed that into the systems rather than waiting for a human to press the kill switch. Right? And that is the speed at which we need to move. And responsible AI is key. It's really, really key. We need to make sure data is protected, you are secure, your employees are secure, there's automated reasoning that's vetting the answers that are coming back to you from the models. We believe fundamentally in this. And make sure that the platform you're using is protecting your data and is sovereign by design. I know President Macron talked about that as well yesterday. But with all of that, organizational evolution, governance, culture, and risk, at the very core is something that our group CEO, Andy Jassy, talks a lot about. And he calls that the why quotient. And the why quotient is about starting with a customer problem. It's asking the very difficult why questions. Why does it need to take 10 days? Why can it not be done in 24 hours? Why does it need to look like this? Why do I have to do it myself? Why can't I be partnering? Why do we need to have only the senior people around? What about all those wonderful junior people that bring fresh ideas? It's really starting with a customer problem and working backwards that has made us who we are today. And I would tell you that I think that is the most important thing that we as leaders need to cultivate in this agentic era. And I'm confident we do this, we will be operating like all those wonderful startups that I hear today, being scrappy and of course, moving at speed. Speed is a leadership decision. President Macron yesterday spoke about the bias for action and speed that helped rebuild the Notre Dame. We need to think about operating at speed. It is not a time to be timid. It is a time to unleash, but unleash responsibly. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be here, and I look forward, hopefully, to catching up with some of you. Thank you.